with Coach Jacob Menard. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me, Justin.
So, Coach Menard is the defensive line coach at Ursinus College. So, fellow Centennial guy. I went to Gettysburg. We played against them every year. So, to kick things off, Coach, can you just share with the audience a little bit about your background and how you ultimately got involved in your current role?
Yeah, no, so I kind of took an unconventional route. I think everyone's story when break it down gets a little bit different. But I was just played high school at a small 1A school outside of Hagerstown called Clear Spring High School. It's a 4-year Letterman there, playing offense, defensive line. But by the time my senior year got there, being a 5'7" offensive lineman didn't really bode well for playing college ball. So hung up the cleats, picked up a whistle, spent 2 years volunteering at St. James School in Hagerstown. Would go on to be a student coach at Shepherd University, where I was a student, and then made the jump to after I graduated, got the opportunity to be at VMI, Virginia Military Institute, as a D1 grad assistant on the defense side of the ball. Went up to Ohio for a year, Hiram College during the whole COVID crisis, so didn't get a chance to coach a game there, but still had some awesome opportunities out there in Northeast Ohio outside Cleveland to run my own room for the first time as a D-line coach, and then blessed enough to return to VMI as an offensive grad assistant for a year, helping out with the offensive line on one of the top offenses in FCS that year. So a lot of fun being able to coach on the other side of the ball. And blessed enough, after all those experiences, led me to Ursinus College, where I've been D-line coach the past 2 years. As you mentioned, Centennial League, one of the best leagues in Division III football, in my opinion, best league on the East Coast for Division III football. When you balance out the competitiveness of the conference and the academic quality of schools in our league, I don't think I put up against anybody. Every single week feels like that playoff game, and been fortunate enough to be a part of the program that just was back-to-back Centennial Mac Bowl champions the past 2 years, and put out a whole bunch of great players on offense, defense, and had a lot of great success, and looking forward to continuing that down the road here.
Yes, sir. And when we were talking off camera, we were talking about how this is your 9th year or 8th year.
Yep. So been able to bounce around, do a whole bunch of different levels, and best part about being doing this for 8 years, just the opportunity to meet a bunch of great people. Not only the coaches I got to work with, but the players that make it special. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what logo you're wearing. At the end of the day, it's the people you work with and the people you work for, and been blessed enough to be around some phenomenal individuals throughout my time.
Definitely. And, that's, I think, as with any profession, one of the biggest things is not always what you know. Obviously, that's important, but it's a lot of times who you know and, the impact that you're able to have at the program that you're working at. So can you talk about some of the lessons that you've learned from those different programs you've been a part of and obviously, at Ursinus now?
Yeah, the top lesson I learned, and I think it's good for anyone who's aspiring to be in this profession, especially the younger guys getting into it. You're gonna have to put in a lot of hours, gonna have to put in a lot of work. And I'm a Christian, and one of the verses that I kind of live by is Colossians 3:23, and that's work willingly at whatever you do as though you're working for the Lord rather than people. And I think that's a thing that a lot of people in this profession kind of get caught up with. Hey, I want to do a really good job, so I can get the next job, or I want to do a good job so I can impress this person. So when they get a big time job, they'll take me with them. I think the number one thing you have to do is wherever your feet are is where your focus has to be. And if I'm the defensive line coach for Science, my number one goal is to help the guys I coach be the best people they can be, not just football players. So however I can best support them athletically, academically, socially, that's what we have to focus on. It's not just it's more than the X's and O's, as you said. It's the fact that you have to help develop the whole person. And that's from the time I was helping out as a high school coach to when I was working at a D1 school. It's the people to make it happen. So you have to do a good job with, being dedicated and loyal to whatever program you're coaching for. And, whatever happens after that happens after that. But you have to be the best at what you're doing at that time. And
For sure.
like that sometimes is, people get caught up. You can see in recruiting, people get caught up in the logos and the hype and the D1 status. To me, it's wherever you're doing, that's where your focus has to be. And that's the number one lesson, I think, for every single person who wants to get in this profession, who's currently doing this. You got to be the best at doing what your job is at that time.
Yeah, and I think Dabo Sweeney said it. He said it perfectly a couple years ago at the AFCA. I believe it was in San Antonio. You
Mm,
know, bloom where your feet are planted, and that's exactly what you're saying. And you know, just to be able to do a great job without trying to get that next job, that alone, that's going to help you get the next job. It's kind of like a weird dichotomy where if you don't really try to do that, you're inadvertently putting yourself in a better position to you know climb the ranks if that's something that you do want to do.
exactly. And the next piece of advice I got that it stuck with me since 2019 when I first heard it. Marshall Roberts, long time defensive backs coach at Liberty and VMI, and now he's a assistant AD at Liberty. He told me that things happen for you, not to you. And I think it's very easy that and I still go through it to this day. I'm not perfect by any means on this, but when things don't go your way, when the scoreboard doesn't go your way, when personal things don't go your way, it's really easy to kind of dwell in those negativities. And especially in this job, work a lot of hours, you put a lot of effort in. When things don't go your way, you can really beat yourself up over it. But really, you have to focus on finding that lesson, finding those lessons within that. So, thing I tell my defensive line every single play is next play, great play mentality. I don't care if you got a strip sack that led to a touchdown the play before, or you reached out your gap and you gave a first down. Next play has to be the thing you're focused on. And I think it's easy to, get caught up, get caught up in the really high highs or really low lows. It's important to find that, be able to kind of step back a ways and just kind of see that what's this thing I'm going through telling me, so that when I go through it again, I'm able to really capitalize on that. So it's really important to find those lessons in life.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, one of the guys who helped out with you at Attersign is Coach Brady,
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Brady.
Yep.
So he was actually my high school coach at Malvern Prep back in when I graduated 2017. So that was one of the big lessons that he taught me was when things are good, never get too high, but at the same time, it's never as bad as you think it really is. So it's about keeping that level mind, and when you have a level mind, that's going to allow you to face that next situation in a better way without getting too excited or without getting too down on yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then another cool thing you talked about too, without getting too philosophical, is like, not really lingering on what happened in the past. And I think that's, for me as a player, and then when I got into coaching a little bit when I graduated college for a youth 7th and 8th grade team, and then now applying that to my business, that's a big thing, is just focusing on the lessons that you learned instead of really the outcome. And I think for coaching specifically, I think it's more about the process, and like you were saying, applying those processes to future situations.
Yep. I can't remember off the top of my head who said it, but the journey is a reward is something that I've heard a bunch of coaches say. And I think it's true. At the end of the day, the championship rings you get and trophies are going to get rust on them. The photos and all that stuff will fade a little bit, but the memories you make with your players, the memories you make with your teammates, that's the stuff that it's going to last, the rest of your life. So definitely is a
Yeah.
special thing about, and I say it all the time. I think there's nothing like the sport of football in this entire world, and the opportunities you have to, make connections, make friends that in normal settings you never get to make those connections. So really is a special game.
Yeah, no, you're really right. And I think, from a Division 3 standpoint, and I'm sure you can attest to this, what I find is that my experience as a Division 3 guy is such that it's like the perfect microcosm for life, because, you know, uh, Division 3 guys don't have scholarships. So we're in it for the love of the game, and obviously to get an education. And I think, and we talked about it a little bit, but, being able to face adversity, being able to, do something when you don't always want to do it. Those are things that are lessons that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life.
Yep.
So any last words, coach, you want to share with the audience today?
Yeah, I just one, I appreciate your time, and definitely look forward to listening to this podcast and some other podcasts. So, definitely excited about this, but just excited about what we're doing at Ursinus, excited about the opportunities we give these young men. And, the thing that I want to leave with, Coach Gallagher has been our head coach 20 plus years. The culture has been, the culture of Ursinus has been that way. Obviously, before I got there, it's going to be that way long after, I would leave there. But, our whole mentality is to help develop our student athletes become winners. And that's more than what the scoreboard says. We want to help our young men, develop not only athletically, but academically and socially to become winners in life. Being able to walk into any room that, any interview they walk into and, have their shoulders back, knowing they're the man for the job when they walk in there. And I think that we do a really good job. We have a D lineman right now who has a full-time job with NASA lined up, guys who are getting jobs with Fortune 500 companies. I think we're doing a phenomenal job as a staff with our players doing phenomenal jobs becoming those men who are going to be successful leaders in life. So, I just want to say how grateful I am for the staff we have at Ursinus, Coach Gallagher, Coach Dev, Coach Quiggs, Coach Endy, the rest of the staff, Coach Brady, who you mentioned that is your head coach. So, and really grateful for the players, and especially coming off the holiday season, just, yeah, again, it all goes back to how we started talking off. It's the people that make it special, really great players at this institution, and really great people behind the scenes that work as well. So it's grateful and thankful for the future that we're going to have at Ursinus. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I also really appreciate the time you spent with us and just sharing about your career. So all great stuff. And like you were saying, an awesome profession to be a part of to help shape the future and young men's life. So thanks again, coach. Best of luck this all season and looking forward to, seeing you guys succeed next year.
Yep. Justin, thanks so much for having me on, and look forward to future conversations with you. But go Bears.
Thanks.